So this is the session that you get, and the first thing I want you to look at is your track list, and you will see some hidden tracks here. Leave them hidden for now. Just leave them the way they are. You will see your background vocal tracks, and you can see that there's 3 groups of background vocal tracks in the first chorus, 4 groups in the second pre-chorus. So when I see this, immediately my brain goes, oh my god, this engineer left me a huge mess. I'm going to have to clean this up. Okay? So I will go usually by group or by individual track, but the first thing I will do when I see something like this is, I don't know if this fade is right or not. So I'm going to suspend all my groups, Shift Command G. All my groups are off now. As you guys can see, they grayed out over here, right? And know your tools, by the way. F1 through 4 changes the modes. F5 through 8 changes your tools. So if you know how to keep your left hand right at these tools, it's a very quick way to move around. And that's how I usually work in slip mode, unless I'm copying stuff. And then my hand is up here. You can hit certain things a few times to get different tools. So if I'm hitting F6, I get the regular trim, then I get the loop, and then I get the time warp tool, which we don't use because we're actually using it a different way. And my select tool. You can also hit all 3 at the same time, and you get what is called the smart tool. Works really well when you get used to it. If you're not used to it, it will drive you crazy. Then we want to make sure that tap to transient, this button right here, is not on at this time. We will talk about that some more. And we want to make sure that keyboard focus is on, because it turns out our R and T into our zoom keys, right? So T zoom in, R zoom out. Tap to transient is off, because what I want right now is I want to tap from edit to edit, right? So if I tap right here with my select tool, it jumps here, it jumps to the next edit, jumps to the next edit, and I can very quickly move around. Option tap gets me backwards. So I look at this and I go, okay, there's some things first of all that need to be gone, like this fade. It looks wrong, wrong, wrong. Just because it's there does not mean it's right. Okay, and then I see, for instance, how they're all starting at different times. So I would go in and I would grab my trim tool and I would pull all these out, because I want to see what's actually there. I don't know what the guy before me did, right? Do you trust everything that comes to your door? No. And it's the same with Pro Tools sessions. You can't trust what is there. Pull it out, take a look at it. Okay? So I see that the lowest cutoff I could do is right here. But what I really want to know is, where does the breath start? Right? So I'm take a listen. And I don't hear it, so that means I'm going to have to recapture it. That's interesting. Oh, I know why I don't hear it. The faders are down. No, faders are not down. It's panned. You guys only hear mono, so I got to put it all in the middle. It's already going through this aux here, which is okay. It's coming out 1 and 2. Oh, I think I remember why. I think my playback engine is aggregate. No, it's Soundflower. And you guys still hear me, but you don't hear. That's why. Sweeter than my first. There we go. Okay. Sweeter than when we kissed. We'll get into what the problem was there in a second. It has to do with auto input monitoring. Okay, these are already routed, which I wasn't aware of. So here's the breath, and I want that breath, but I'm going to cut it very closely to that breath later. So what I want to do now is trim to the closest editing point, and that's somewhere between here and here. So I go right in the middle, change it, tap forward, change to the trim tool, edit it. I don't even have to listen to this because it's very obvious. I see all this space here in the middle. I'm going to deal with that later. That's a lot of space, but I want to edit that all together. So that would be one of those points where I just pull everything out kind of towards the middle of it, so I can cut it all together and give it a nice even cut. By the way, guys, don't think that this is something that I'm just doing because that's some technique. Every song that I work on, this is what needs to be done. And this is standard practice in the industry. F for the crossfade, yes. So I'm just getting kind of towards the same area here. So I don't care about that edit right now. I'm going to keep moving. Okay. Select F crossfaded. Go to the end. Pull that out a little bit. See what's there. Okay, there's a lot there. I'm going to tap backwards till I get to the beginning. Tap forward. Okay, go to the second track. Now, look what I'm doing here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to press Control down arrow. And it shrinks that track. I'm going to select this track and press Control up arrow. And it makes it big. Okay. Tap forward. Here's my trim. I'm staying on Smart Tool. Smart Tool gives me a little bit of a crossfade tool down here. Do you guys see that? So when I'm up here, I get a fade in and fade out tool. When I'm here, I get a select tool. When I'm in the middle, I get a trim tool. And on the very bottom, I get a crossfade tool. Nice, right? Ooh, that one is already good. Just needs a little crossfade. I leave that one alone. That one needs to be trimmed. That one needs to be trimmed. Keep it small in between the audio. And we're at the end. We pull that one out. Tap back. Shrink the track. Make the next one big. Tap forward. I'm going to crossfade that one. That one looks good too. That one I'm leaving alone for later. The closest edit point to this is here. So I've always moved to the closest edit point. Oops, I just moved the audio. That's what you don't want to do. Tap back. Control up arrow. I'm sorry, Control down arrow. I'm going to leave background vocal 4 alone for now. You see the same mouse. It means you do not see me moving around like this. I make a circle right now. You don't see this mouse moving? Oh, okay. So, oh, you don't see the tool changing. So let me ask you this. Oh, wow. That was crazy. Let's make sure. If I'm up here, do you see the tool changing at all? Ah, you don't see the trim changing. Well, try it out yourself. Up here it changes to fade in, fade out, trim tool, select tool, and then over here it's a crossfade tool. If you have this on, right? The Smart Tool, which is pressing F6, 7, and 8 at the same time. Just try it out. This looks like something I will need to listen for, right? This is right in the middle of two phrases, and the decision has to be made of which one I will choose. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Sweeter than when we kiss. So this is like where the when is, so I can either go here. Sweeter than when we kiss. Or I can go here. Not moving it though. That would be a bad thing. Sweeter than when we kiss. Either edit would be fine. Okay. I'm not dealing with that one yet. Okay, not dealing with that one. Just pulling that one out. Okay, tapping back. And you guys saw that I bypassed 4 for now, because remember it says right here, fix edit points, timing, and pitch. Now, here's a couple of shortcuts that you guys might really like. Hold Option, and it lets you resize all the tracks at the same time. Just don't hold Option. It only does one track at a time. Simply grabbing right at the bottom of the track. So if you just want to make them all big and go through the editing quicker, sometimes that can actually help. So I see here an edit. Get right to the middle, be exact. Get to the next point. Good, that was actually very, very quick. There wasn't much on this track. Here's an edit. Needs to be done properly. Okay. Leave that one alone, leave that one alone, just pull it out. We're going to fix that at the end. I'm going to show you guys what's the best way to fix those things all at once. Okay, that one is already done, so it's this one. The extra edit point is not bad. Just going to put a little crossfade on there. Make sure it doesn't click or pop. That's actually a good point. Just going to fix it. Here's another one that's actually not bad. Oh, it says 8. Ah, shoot. We're going to have to go through that again. Yeah, you got to make sure groups are off. Well, we'll deal with that. Let's go to 9. Just click, move forward. Needs a little bit of editing right here to get in the middle of that. Actually, maybe a little more. There's still audio. Okay, this looks good. A little crossfade. Boom, next. Closest edit point is right here. Small little crossfade. Next. Interesting. We can either go either way. Let me see. I will go this way. I will take a listen to it though. Want to make sure that's right.
Sweeter, sweeter than when we kiss.
Yep, sounds right to me.
Sweeter.
Okay. Sounds clean. Okay. Pull these out. What just happened? That was weird. Must have something to do with the screen sharing here. Here's a bad edit right here. Want to fix that. Small little crossfade. There's one. There's one. I'm just going to do both at the same time. Make sure my crossfades are not extending into the audio. And it looks like here's one. I can simply get into here a little bit. Get a nice crossfade going here. Pull this one out. I'm going to listen to those two though. Make sure they actually work the way I edited them. It's very important to use your ears, guys.
Sweeter than my
Okay, looks okay.
Sweeter than my
Looks good. Sounds good. It doesn't sound like it's edited. There's no click or pop. Okay, I'm just going to go backwards on this track and make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, don't worry about that one yet. Okay, there's a couple things on 12. So, trimming of this section is done. Except for 4, 8, and 12. So let's look at this next section. So first thing I see is, oh, okay, so there's one part starting early and one part late. Let's take a listen.
For a moment
Okay, so it's very simple. I'm going to have to trim these a little different on the top because they come in later, right? We don't want to have any audio that's unnecessary. So we'll trim these kind of equally. And this is where you can actually turn a group on if you want to trim the beginning of a group. And, well, that didn't work. That's one of the weird things in Pro Tools. I never understood why it does that. You can press B and it will actually separate it. And then we have a nice start here, and I can simply now watch this tool I was showing you earlier, Felipe. D, right? Fade 2. So I'm fading to this point, and it creates a nice little fade in with that tool. Then I can go to the end, and I see that there's a long ooh, and they're stopping at different times. So I might want to wait a little bit on that one and see how that works on the other tracks. Now I can do the same thing here with that group. Oh, it just messed one up bad. So we want to grab that one instead. Okay, and that's the breath. Press B, separates the ones that are not selected, and I'm going to fade all those together. So actually, the easiest thing is to always grab the shortest one. For some reason, that works. And then delete the rest. Grab the shortest one. Bring it out. Separate it. Oh, that separated the end too. We don't want to do that. Okay, there you go. Okay. And clean it up. There's a little bit weirdness right here we want to get rid of. And to group these, we can either create a group, or we can simply just shrink them. And hold Shift while you create a fade in. So my point is set, and I press D, and they're faded in together, and it's very clean, right on the breath actually. See how that breath comes in very, very smoothly?
For a moment.
The question, Trevor, is what do we have to select for the F, D, and G to work? This has to be on. If this is not on, A through C, your shortcuts, none of them work. Keyboard focus, that's what that button is called. Okay, so I see some edits in here that have to be completed. I'm going to turn the groups back off. I'm just going to kind of pull these all to the same area here. Again, this is a nice little spot where I can edit things together, right? So I'm going to kind of get them all into the same ballpark here. And then this looks like an audio file, shouldn't even be there. And once I'm in the same ballpark, I can simply just hold my mouse down and try to edit this as closely as I can. Hold my mouse down and press F. Hold my mouse down, press F. Very, very clean. Just deleted breath. So that's not good. So that's not acceptable, right? So what do? We delete them. And we turn our groups back on. I'm always glad when this kind of stuff happens, guys. I'm not embarrassed when this stuff happens, so you know, because this is how it goes. A lot of times you have to do an edit and test it, listen to it. There's a nice breath right here, but we probably won't need the breath down here, so we'll get rid of it, and then make sure we have a nice crossfade here. Listen to it. Perfect. Right? So, okay, now it looks like we got all kinds of different oohs at the end here. They're all stopping at a different time. So we're going to have to find a nice time to make this work. And we're going to have to find the right fades, because we're going to actually have to cut this ooh off, because some of them are too short. Right? So listen to it. So it sounds like the natural sound kind of stops right here. But some of them I hear cutting off way earlier than that. So sounds like right around here. So what I'm going to do is, I see only one track doesn't reach it till there. But even these are not even quite hitting it. So I'm going to go closer. I want to get as close as I can to that, so that they all stop at the same time. And now what I need to do is find a fade that actually works, that makes this sound like a natural fade out. So let's think about, how do singers fade out? Right? Is it abrupt? Is it... I mean, we naturally fade. It's kind of long, but it's not linear. It kind of falls towards the end, right? So we're going to press Shift-Tab to select that area and go to Apple F. Now we can actually change this with a curve. And it's not letting me change it for some reason. Ugh. Wait a minute, this is supposed to let me move it. Oh, that's why. And I'm going to kind of play with this curve here, right? So I'm going to make it a little bit and let it fall fast, or I'm going to go to equal gain and try this curve. So let's try this one. No, doesn't work for me. Doesn't sound natural. Now, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't sound natural in the song, but it's not the curve that I'm looking for. I think it needs to be, first of all, I think it needs to be longer. So I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to pull the fade out. That might actually work. So let's see how that sounds in the song. It sounds faded. That's not a good thing, right? So that's just taught us that, okay, maybe we need to make it shorter, because singers don't take that long to fade out. That was a little better. I would probably experiment with this a little longer until I get it to sound just perfectly right. Change the curves, you know, do other things to make it just right. So the back part is actually perfectly edited now, right? The only thing we're missing now is the front end, and all we have to do is either create a group for all the groups, which you can, clicking this little button next to here, hold Shift, and then say all BGV and create a new group after you pressed, sorry, I forgot the shortcut, Command G to create a group. And I can go in, find the breath. Ooh, that's tough. So it's right here. Okay. So, and just cut. Get right in the middle of a breath. It's actually okay to fade into a breath. It makes the breath sound more natural. Okay, so that's good. Now we want to do Here's the next breath. It's over right about here. Fade. Fade. It's a little tight at the end on that V. I'm going to pull it out a little more. Nice. Okay, looks like it's right here. Good. Okay, background vocals are edited, except we haven't done the elastic audio. So here we go. How do we do this? Well, you know it's in groups. Background vocal 1 through 4 are the same note. So we're going to ungroup everything. There's two ways, by the way. You can suspend all groups by Shift Command G, or you can simply ungroup them by deselecting them over here and just turning them off. I usually leave these on, and just when I don't want groups, I just simply suspend all groups with Shift Command G. So what I want to hear is background vocal 1 and 4. Now I already have set this up for you guys, but with my memory locations, I'm not sure if this session has it, because it's like an older version of that same session. Wait a minute, Command 5 is my memory location, and it doesn't have it. Okay, it doesn't have the shortcuts. So I'll just show you how I usually do it. An easy way to actually do this is to click over here and turn all the tracks off and only turn off the ones you want to see. 1 and 4. Right? Makes it really easy and less confusing. Just make sure you turn them back on later. Okay? So we know that 1 is good and 4 is bad. Okay? So we're going to turn rhythmic mode on. It's going to load in, and you saw on my computer it's so fast you don't even see it. It's already loaded in. We're going to select all and change to analysis view, option 5, or clip elastic properties. And you see a lot of event markers in here, right? Way too many. So let's take this down till a number that I think is pretty good. 85 looks perfect for me. 85 still has a couple extra ones, but I think that will work. Okay? So now I change to warp view, and I'll see what's going on here. Well, I need to solo it, don't I? And I need to have my blend, because this needs to be in record and solo isolated. Okay. Okay, so there's a problem here already, and there's actually two problems. There's definitely a pitch issue, right? So option 5 gives us this pitch shift where the sensitivity was.
When we kiss.
One thing about pitch shifting, you cannot pitch shift something that's just a part of a phrase. To pitch shift anything you want to pitch shift, you have to separate it. So if I would want to pitch shift this, I would have to press B to separate it, and the pitch shift comes up. But unless it's its own full track, I can't do it. So this is actually a full clip, so I can pitch shift this entire clip. It sounds like it's what? Flat or sharp?
When we kiss.
Sounds sharp to me. So I'm going to go -1.
When we kiss.
It's much better.
When we kiss.
The second half sounds a little, actually more flat than the rest, so.
Kiss. 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 Kiss.
Better. So all I would have to do afterwards, I'm going to show you real quick. Control Command on the name will return it to the regular view. All I have to make sure that once I'm done with this edit that I properly trim it. Okay? Just like the rest, it has to be properly trimmed. So I will look at this, I will fade this, and I will fade this. That doesn't mean we're done with this track. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up on that.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate, sweeter than when we kiss, sweeter than my first love.
Okay, so we can immediately hear and see that there's an issue, right? This is actually one of the really easy ones here, because there's a couple of things you can immediately look at and understand how this has to be done. One, you see that this is in line. This looks perfectly aligned. You look at the next part of the phrase, it's still aligned. But then suddenly something happens here. And at this point, right here, you can see that this is too long. So where does it change? Right? So even this part is good. So that tells me, what do I need to do right here? I need to double click and create a marker. This is where I want to anchor because it looks in time. Right? So I'm going to keep looking here and I see all this is off. So the next thing I want to anchor is actually the end because it looks perfect. So I'm going to double click and create another anchor. I also see that these need to be moved. So there needs to be an anchor here and an anchor there. Now I hold shift and move it over and simply align it with the top. It's that simple. Now I can play it from here. No wobble, anything back here. I might pull this over just a little. Sweeter than my first love. Absolutely perfect. Let's go to the next phrase. Sweeter than a drop of honey. No, you just double click. Now, to move the actual anchor, you hold shift. That turns your grabbing tool into range warp instead of accordion warp, which I'll show you in a second here, which would be a mistake you don't want to use. When I hear phrases like this, guys, the first thing I'm thinking, and this is only on background vocal 4, by the way, so don't confuse this with 8 and 12. I want you to understand how nudging works. So you have this nudge right here, and this shows you a number, which is really high at this point. So I'm going to turn this number to 20 frames, right? So that's my nudge in time code. And when I hear phrases like this, before I start using elastic audio, I actually want to go and I want to make sure that I can fix at least some of it by simply aligning it first. Wow, it doesn't sound like it's not moving. Why is that? Or did I move too far? Oh, yeah, I might have moved a little too far. Just a little. About 2 seconds. Okay, so this looks a lot closer. And it got me closer to the point where I can say, okay, I can do the rest with elastic audio. And now my elastic audio doesn't have to do as much. I also will see that this one is also very, very fast. So I'm going to move this one back. And I see immediately there's 2 breaths. So there's a bigger problem here that has to do with this phrase ending too early. So I can actually fix this. But what I will have to do is I will have to deal with each clip separately. That's very important to know. So we'll go back to our warp view. And we'll take another look at this clip and see if we can improve it any kind of way. This looks good. Sweeter than a drop of honey. Okay, there it starts right there. So what I hear is, this is good. Go to my grab tool. This is good. This is good. This is not. So I need to take this and I need to pull this out. But there's a warp marker here that needs to be moved. So I'm going to get rid of this one because I want all of it to move, and it just recreated itself. Great. So I want to move this one over too until it aligns with this top. So it'll get my breath in time. Now it should match the other track. And I don't care that it matches perfectly because I'm going to go back over that, right? So go shift again. Honey, sweet, honey, sweet. Very close. Honey, honey, honey. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Now I can go back to my regular view. And I pull this out and, okay, I'm getting closer. Now I'm going to actually edit this one a little bit more. And I see that it's lining up pretty good. Sweeter than the sweeter, sweeter than the sweeter than pretty good. All I have to do now is find that perfect edit point, and now I don't have that double breath problem anymore. Right? And it perfectly lines up. Now, okay, this looks good. This looks good. Sounds good. This is now not in time. So I'm going to open this up and we'll see what's under there. And I see that it's way early, so I'm going to nudge it a little bit. Rain, rain. And I also hear that it's a little pitchy too. So let's deal with the pitch. If you have numeric keypad, option 5. And let's try going up a whole step. Rain. There you go. And that fixed it. I'm going to make sure these edits are all clean. That looks good, looks good, looks good. And then we have our last phrase.
Sweeter than making love.
Okay, I hear two problems. Let's see if you guys can identify what the problems are.
Sweeter than making love. Sweeter than making love. Sweeter than making love.
Okay, anybody? Adriana, you still with us? What do you guys hear? Pitch and timing. Ah, that's it. Pretty awful. Yeah, it is. I messed it up as good as I could. That was actually work to make it this bad. So
Sweeter than making love.
So can't is wrong pitch, completely wrong pitch, and love is completely late, right? So again, let's go to our warp view and let's see what we can do. And we know, first of all, we know that we can't change the can't because it's not separated, right? So first thing we want to do is fix the timing before we even think about fixing anything else.
Sweeter than making love.
So kin is really, the timing is good. There is an event marker, so I'm going to just click that with shift, turn it into a warp marker. And then I know that there needs to be one here, so I can align it with this. And it looks like the end is good. So I just fix the timing simply like this.
Making love.
Sounds much better, timing wisely, right?
Than making love.
Okay, well, pitch is still not there. So let's go and let's select this area. Let's press B, and now we can pitch it. And let's go 2 whole steps up.
Sweeter than making love.
And there it is. Now we just got to go back to our regular view. Make sure we crossfade everything. And we have just fixed this vocal. And let's make sure we listen to it with the other two so we can really tell how tight it is.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate, sweeter than when we kiss, sweeter than my first love.
That's so close.
Sweeter than a drop of honey, sweeter than the pouring rain, sweeter than making love.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so our first one is done. Let's unsolo. Let's hide. Let's go to 5 and 8. Solo, solo. Let's make them big. And let's listen. Remember, it's all about it sounding right. It's not just visual. Visual is only a helpful tool to find problems quickly, but it's not the final decision is not made visually. It's made with your ears. So rhythmic mode is on. Select all. Option 5. Look at the analysis. I would say just pick the same number. Probably works. I can go lower on this one. It looks like. Yeah, right there. That looks good. And then play it.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
Oh, whoa, that's like a few right there in the front. Okay, so this already has markers where I need them. I'm just gonna add one here. That one is actually, yeah. We'll have to take a look at this. Okay, so that's all off. This is pretty much all off, all the way to here, and then it looks okay. So let's turn all of these into warp markers. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Shift. Let's try this by grabbing this first one here. That one's actually locked in place, so that's good. So we're gonna just warp this one over. Oh, I'm sorry, that's why. I'm in the wrong view. Shift. Pull this one over. Pull this one. Ooh, I see a little problem here. I'm gonna have to add one here. Add one here. Pull this one over. Pull this one over. And we're pretty close here. It's a little... The problem is really I need to pull this out a little bit to see what's going on. Aha, that's what it is. And then, yeah, something like this. Let's listen.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
There's a little weirdness in here, but it's probably as good as it's gonna get.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
Huh, that's weird. Sometimes it is what it is, you know.
But Godiva chocolate.
Ah, that was close. It's not gonna get any better than that, but it's better than it was before.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss.
Okay, when we kiss has an issue. Whoa, I'm pressing wrong buttons here.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
Okay, when we kiss, a couple of issues here.
When we kiss.
Okay, I see it. So, simple identification. This looks in time. This looks off time. This looks off time. So, there needs to be an anchor here. And there's one here already. Definitely need to move this. And I think that will shrink this down to what I need. So, hold shift.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
Close. Then I need to see how far. I can't really pull this out too much. I need to pull this.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
Much closer, and I need to pull the V out a little bit.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
Better.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
You could, but it's not really what you're supposed to do. You could split some of it, but you're still better off. What does a splitting create, Felipe? Space, right? Space that has no audio, which sounds unnatural. If this is actually continuous and it creates a gap, right? Gaps are very easy identified by us. We hear them.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
Editing this with elastic audio will give you a more continuous sound.
Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love.
Oh wow, that's pretty. Okay, whole pitch is wrong in pitch, so let's go and I'll say down -1.
Sweeter than
No, that was wrong. Let's go up 1.
Sweeter than my.
Okay, no, it didn't go up. Okay, I was like, that didn't work.
Sweeter than my.
No, that's not it.
Sweeter than. Sweeter than
there
my
it is.
first love. Sweeter.
It didn't move. That's what happened.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love.
Let's keep going.
Sweeter than a drop of honey.
+1.
Sweeter than a pouring rain.
Oh, whoa. Okay, that's some issues. Pouring comes in right. Then rain is off, so we need definitely some markers in here. Let's take a good look at it here. F8. There needs to be a marker here, here, here. And the end looks pretty much in time. We zoom in, shift, pull it over, listen.
Pouring rain.
That was it.
Rain. Sweeter than a pouring rain. Sweeter.
The end is a little off, so I'm gonna go add another marker and just pull this over just a little.
Pouring rain. Pouring rain.
Nice. Okay.
Sweeter than making love.
Yeah, a little flat there.
Making love.
Okay.
Making love.
Okay, let's. I think this one was already edited. I'm just gonna make sure everything has a crossfade. Oh, that's not edited. Okay, glad I checked. Okay, let's check backwards. Okay. Let's check 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's listen.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love.
Yeah, that bugs me. It's too tight.
Sweeter than a drop of honey.
That also timing here. I think there needs a little adjustment in here. That's why it's so important to listen, guys, right? You have to double, quadruple check your work. There's definitely a little bit of a timing issue in here.
Sweeter than a drop.
Ah, much better.
Sweeter than a drop of honey, sweeter than a pouring rain, sweeter than making love.
Oh, when I sang it? Oh, no, I didn't sing it like that. I promise you that, Felipe. No, I'm not that bad. I mean, I'm not that great either. But no, that would be pretty bad. If I would sing that bad, hopefully I have enough sense not to play that for you. Anyway, that would be crazy. Yeah, I studied vocals and I sound like this. Ugh. Yeah, go back to school. Okay, 9 through 12 is where we at. Okay, but we only need 9 and 12. Okay. Did I unsolo it? I don't remember. I'm sorry, my brain is getting tired too. I know you guys are tired. But I think it's very helpful if you guys see me do this whole thing. Even if you don't all watch it in one time. It's a good place to see, oh, how did he do that again? And jump back to it. So put it in rhythmic mode. Follow this method every time. Command A, sensitivity, change analysis view. Look at your markers, way too many. Let's lower it. Yeah, right there. See, it changes every time. 85, 84, 87. It really depends. And then go back to warp. Let's listen. Oh, I guess it's not soloed. I thought it was.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
Well, here you go. Elastic properties. Do you have a numeric keyboard, Trevor? Okay, it's option 5. Option numeric keyboard 5. Memory location is command 5. Also, it's a good one to know. Try all of these. Command 1, for instance, is the transport window. Command 2, session setup window. Command 3, the assembly timer. And automation enable window. Then memory locations. Then option, you have the quantize, real-time properties, and elastic properties. So it's really nice to actually get one, guys. If you haven't spent the $30, go get a keyboard, especially working. I mean, it's nice on the laptop, but when you're home working on something, having the numeric keyboard, even with Sibelius, it's just like half of Sibelius stuff is on the numeric keyboard side. So, Felipe, guess what? That has to be nudged. The whole entire line is late, right? So when I hear how late the entire line is, yeah, I'm nudging this one.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate.
And then I might even go back and say, okay, yeah, that's entire phrase is early, so I'm even gonna nudge it some more.
Sweeter than.
But then I will have to end up retrimming it, making sure it's crossfaded and edited correctly. There's some kind of craziness going on over here too.
Sweeter than when. Sweeter than.
Okay, I see what's going on. We have a double breath here we're going to have to deal with in another way. Okay. So, little bit nudged first. That doesn't mean I'm done with it. I'd rather nudge. I don't like to chop up things because it's too audible. Oh, I'm still way off. Since I'm in warp mode, it's not going to let me nudge it. Okay, I need to go to waveform view and nudge it.
Sweeter than.
See, that's not bad. Same thing here. That's why I don't think it moved. Okay, here we go. Okay, now we can have to do much less. So we still have to do some, but we see that this is locked. This is close. This is close. This is not so close. This is also not so close. We gotta pull this over. I apologize. Right here. Boom, boom. Pull that up. Pull that up. This is, by the way, the part that takes the longest. The rest of this is fast. There's 5 more steps, but each of them, it's command and period. Yes, absolutely, that's it.
Sweeter than.
There you go. Perfect. And then this one looks much better. Suddenly, okay. Well, that must have nudged just right. Except the end here. This breath is really weird how it's pulled out so long. So we're gonna change that breath a little bit before we retrim this region back to its breath and get a much better transition. And then there's one here. Okay, and this one had pitch issues, right?
Sweeter than when we kiss.
And it's cut off. Yeah.
Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter
Two breaths.
than when we kiss.
Two breaths.
Sweeter than.
Oh, that's a S into a breath. We can actually crossfade that. That works.
Sweeter than when.
And then option 5 plus 1.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
A little bit of timing issue in the middle.
Sweeter than when we.
I know I'm kind of a little anal when it comes to this stuff, but
Sweeter than when we kiss.
I've mixed too many songs where I have to spend too much time re-editing the vocals.
Sweeter than when we kiss.
Okay, that's better.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love.
Sounds like a nudge first.
Sweeter than my first love. Sweeter than my first love. Sweeter than my first love.
Doesn't even need another edit. Oops. Make sure that doesn't happen. That's the time warp tool. Okay, it's right here. It's right there. There, beautiful. Right there. Okay.
Sweeter than a drop of honey. Sweeter than the pouring rain. Sweeter than.
That one is kind of all over the place, huh?
Sweeter than the pouring rain. Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Uh-huh. Now, this is the hardest edit of all of them. I just want to warn you guys. I want you to pay really good attention to this one. There's a bunch of different things going on here. Okay? So, watch what I'm doing here. Okay? I'm creating my markers first, and this is a really a good method to actually use all the time. And then start in the front.
Sweeter than the.
So we hear the first one here.
Sweeter than the pour.
It's a little better.
Sweeter than the pouring.
Okay, pour looks kind of good, but then there's a problem here, and then we have to figure out what's going on here. Is it this? And this?
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
No, that's rain. This is actually pour, Renn.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
I have to hear that by itself.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Ah, pour, Renn. Pour, Renn.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
The problem is here.
Sweeter.
We need to tie the clock.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Aha. I see.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
That's rain.
Sweeter than the pouring rain. Sweeter than the pouring rain.
If you get it that close, I'll be very proud of you.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
That's not an easy one. That is not an easy one. I do admit that, but at least one of them has to be challenging, because the other ones are really easy.
Sweeter than.
Looks like there's an unusual edit in here that's unnecessary, so we'll get rid of it.
Sweeter than make.
Uh-huh.
Sweeter than.
Option 5. Let's change the pitch, which sounds sharp to me.
Sweeter than.
Oh, I went higher. Great. Let's go down.
Sweeter than make. Sweeter than.
Okay, a little bit of a timing issue in there too.
Sweeter than make.
Ah, I see it. Okay, it's right here.
Sweeter than make. Sweeter than make.
And make is not the best pitcher in the world, but we're not going to split it. It's not that bad. What's going on here? Okay.
Sweeter.
Double breath. One has to go.
Sweeter than.
Interesting. So, what do you do, guys? You got a double breath, and it's not timing up. We have to go back to Elastic Audio, and that breath is going to sound bad no matter what you do, so you got to get rid of it. Either two ways. move it or nudge it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to trim it out. We're going to take a look at what's going on here past the point of where we're supposed to be. And I see that all this is probably shifted from earlier warping. So there's some moves we got to make here. So, and when you see this, guys, you know what this means right here? You know what this means when this goes red? It means it can't process it. That means you went past the point of it actually being able to stretch it. So make sure that if you see a red, get rid of it. Redo, undo whatever you did, and pull to a point where the red comes and come back. You can't go any further than that. When it goes red, you did too much. Okay, so I actually pulled the breath, as you guys can see, all the way over, right? But I now see that I have a problem here. Okay, so I need one of these points needs to go. And, okay, so we need to redo this one.
Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Ah, nice. I think that actually fixed it. So now we go back to our regular view. Pull this out, and we should have a perfect edit.
Rain, sweeter than making love.
No, love is kind of questionable, huh? Well, I would definitely try to fix that too. It needs a warp point, and a pull out. A little much. Okay, let's listen to the last four, and we're almost done with 80% of the work, guys.
Sweeter than a drop of honey.
Oh, that's not the whole thing. Sorry, right here.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love. Sweeter than a drop of honey. Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Whoa.
Sweeter than making love.
Now, in comparison, you know, I always hear people say, "Oh, it's unusable. It's just, you know, elastic audio doesn't sound good." Well, number one problem, as you guys can see, you have to know how to use the sensitivity setting correctly, right? But the next one is it takes patience. It's not something you can just go in and think you want to do it in 5 minutes. This took 20 minutes. 30 minutes? I don't remember. What time did we get started on this in particular? Maybe it was 45 minutes. I don't remember. Anyway, how long was it? Anybody remember? We talked about elastic audio a little bit, and I started, what, 30 minutes ago? Was it really an hour, Trevor? I don't think so. Because we came back at 8, right? And then I went through the slides for the elastic audio. 45 minutes, yeah. Okay.
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss. Sweeter than my first love.
Much better, huh? If you guys remember what it sounded like earlier.
Sweeter than the pouring rain. Sweeter than making love.
Obviously, we don't ever want to see any clipping, but it's
sweeter than a drop of honey. Sweeter than the pouring rain.
Now we want to check the back region, make sure it sounds good.
For a moment
Cool. Can you guys actually hear that the little sample says sugar rush, sugar rush, sugar rush, sugar rush?
Sweeter than Godiva chocolate. Sweeter than when we kiss.
I created that with symphonic orchestra. Okay. Comping. Okay, so enable the hidden tracks. Shift name, click on the names, right click it and say make active. Okay, you can for now if you want to mute the background vocals, but you really don't have to, because in the region that we're going to, well, yeah, that might get in your way. You might want to go ahead and turn your all BGV group on and just mute them. Okay, so they're not in your way. So as you guys can see, here's a track that I've already comped. It's this, all these regions here are basically my comp, right? The only thing missing here is the second verse and the second pre-chorus. So don't forget, it goes all the way to the chorus, okay? I get this every month if you guys only do this section and leave this entire section out. In background vocal 12, are you working on it right now while I'm talking? Okay, where? In what spot? It's probably an edit. Bar 12, can you do it by minutes and seconds, please? Change the display here to minutes and seconds. Click on it and tell me exactly where. Right here. Remember, I moved a lot of things around here. I doubt very much that there's still a pop.
And we kiss, sweeter than my first love.
Yeah, you have to properly move it. So I have to move, if I remember correctly, I moved the breath on that one. So you probably have to watch out. If you have to cut it off a little bit, I'm not going to be that picky, okay? So if there's a double breath or something, then you have to make each one shorter and make a fade in and fade out instead of a crossfade, because overlapping breath are always going to give you a click, okay? Okay, so here's the area that has to be comped. So what I need to do is I need to listen to each take.
Can't stop the river rolling down my face.
Okay, that's all I want to listen to. I'm going to listen to the next take.
Can't stop the river.
It's a little low, I can't really hear that. It's the same level, so there's definitely a volume issue there.
Can't stop the river rolling down my face.
I like the my.
Can't stop the river.
I'm on take 3.
Down my face.
That was definitely more aggressive. Rolling down was hard.
The river rolling down my face.
I punched on that face because he wasn't hitting it, huh?
Stop the river
You like that?
rolling down my face.
I like that whole line, but it needs definitely some serious trimming. I like the roll on my. She has a nice roll on it. So I will select this. I will go to a hand. This is very important, guys. Hold Control, which makes it impossible to go left or right. Because if you don't hold it, you might end up putting it and moving it, and it becomes out of time. Right? So I picked my first line already.
If you tried to call me.
I like that too.
If you tried to call me. If you tried to call me.
Okay, I like that if you tried on that one.
If you tried to call me.
Okay, what I like is this. So this is what I do a lot, guys. Okay, I like this. And I like this. Right? So now I want to listen and make sure that actually works. What I thought would work.
If you tried to call me.
And it worked perfectly. All I have to make sure now is that these edits... Oh, don't want that tool. Wrong tool. Does these edits work out perfectly with the breath that's there? Okay, that does. Okay. That will work too. All these have to be edited as cleanly as you did the background vocals. Okay. So we want to clean this up, put a little front fade on it. Interesting here. See what's going on here. Okay, I'm going to have to listen. Okay, so we'll go leave that breath maybe. No, you know, that's an interesting one. So I'm going to go ahead and fade this one out and give it a little fade in the beginning here. Because it sounds like there's a breath, but it doesn't match the other line. Perfect.
If you tried to call me.
Okay. Next line.
Numbers change, days turn to night. numbers change.
No, don't like that one.
Find my numbers change. Days turn to night.
I like find the numbers changed right here. I'm just gonna move quickly, guys, because this comping can take a little time because you gotta listen to everything. And just show you the technique of it. I'm just looking at what's under there. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna put a little fade in the front, fade in the back, clean that up.
Turn to day. Days turn to night.
Not so much.
Days turn to night.
No, not so much.
Days turn to nights.
Not so much.
Days turn to night.
Oh, I like that days right here, but I haven't heard a good turns to night yet.
Days turn to night.
Interesting. So this is how fine sometimes it can get, right? Now, while I'm showing you this, I want to show you something, the other method of actually editing this. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting... remember what I told you guys earlier? I'm going to go to equal power. Watch.
Days turn to night.
Did you hear that edit?
Days turn to nights. Days turn to nights.
Sounds perfect. I guess you guys don't agree.
Days turn to nights.
Okay. Okay, now what would be the other method was what I was trying to tell you guys. So let's say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tracks, right? So I will go and I will actually, there's another way to do this, but I would have to trying to think, there's another way to do this. Make these actually under tracks under this. If they're hidden, it still won't let me do it, right? Okay, but if they're deactivated, nah, I still won't let you do it. Okay, so we gotta do it another way. We're just gonna make voc take one. Copy. New voc take 2, copy. New voc take 3, copy. New voc take 4, take 5, take 6, take 7. I just want to show you this other method, which is really cool. You're gonna love it once you learn it. And 9. Oh, that was not right. Didn't put a... Okay. So I go to playlist, and voila, it's not showing me any of them. Why? Because they're not there. Okay, there's nothing on them. So I'm going to go to vox take 1, and I'm going to grab that region, everything that's on my take 1 track, and I'm going to move it to my take 1 track. Right? I'm going to really clean this up. I'm going to take everything from my take 2, Command A. I'm going to move it to my take 2 track. Put everything from my take 3. Move it. Oh, I haven't changed yet. Maybe I should change first. Go to my take 3. Control. Take 4. Take 5. Come on. There you go. This one is so big now. Where are we? Take 6. Take 7. I don't even want to see these right now. Take... Did I miss up 7? Oh no, here. Take 7. Take 8. Take 9. I'm just showing you this. You don't have to do any of this, okay? Yeah, I'm just going to show you how to use the playlists. So, wow. Okay, so I have all these playlists here. And this is my original comp. Now, how do I get to this? Well, I just changed my view to playlist, and here are all my takes under it. Here's the cool way to comp. Every time you want to hear something, you simply solo that track. Okay, don't solo the main track though. So you want to go, let's listen to this take.
Turn to days, I need to be strong. Nights turn to
Next take.
nights turn to days. Nights turn to days. Nights turn to
No,
nights turn to days.
I like that. Separate it. Click that little arrow here. It jumps up.
I need to be strong.
Like that. That was strong.
To erase the pain. To erase the pain. To erase the pain.
I really like that one. Okay. Pre-chorus. There's a lot of takes there.
For a moment I feel the butterflies. When I feel the butterflies.
I like that already. I'm gonna move that up. Hit that arrow.
For a moment I feel the butterflies.
Oh, I'm still on the wrong track.
I can feel the
I like that also. Sometimes I have to work my way backwards.
fly. I feel the butterflies.
Oh no, that was pitchy.
I feel the butterflies.
Pitchy.
I feel the butterflies.
No, no, no.
I feel the butterflies. I can feel the
I like that. I'm good with that for now. And I like that already. I'm going to move that up. Going to make sure my edits are good in this previous edits that I did. And simply just tap through them. Make sure they're tight. That looks good. Let's look at the next one. Kind of be pulled out a little bit. Oh, there's a breath now. We don't want that right now. Let's see if there's a breath over here we want. Okay, that will overlap. Let's take that. That will work. And that will make the breath sound natural. See what I just did?
I need to
Most of the times you don't want to touch the breath, but when the breath is a little bit going into the audio, then it doesn't hurt to kind of fade slightly into the breath. There's enough room. We don't have to do it. We're missing one more phrase, aren't we? Yeah.
for a moment I
Oh, that's pitchy.
for a moment
Nope.
for a moment I
Nope.
for a moment I
Like that.
for a moment
Nope.
for a moment I
Yeah.
for a moment I
I'm gonna go with the easiest one for now. Well, probably would split that up. I hear 2 4s I like. And I literally will go in and find the actual exact 4 that I want. I'm going to fade into that F. What is this? That's just a breath. So let's see if we can actually get rid of that. Yes. Okay.
for a moment I feel the butterflies. I can feel
Let's look at all our edits. Make sure they're all clean. Looks good. That doesn't look good. That looks better. Okay. Well, that was still the pre-chorus. Okay, so make sure we're still in there. Okay, we're still in the pre-chorus. Chorus, chorus, one back, one more crossfade. Good. Okay, so that's done. The beauty is now I could just simply do this, and all my takes are gone.
can't stop the river from rolling down my face.
Now the next thing would be that you would have to set up your background vocals to be recorded to a stereo track, which is already done in this session. As you can see, there's an audio track created, not an aux, and stereo audio track. I routed it to background to bus 1 and 2, then right-clicked it and renamed it to background vocal blend, then routed all my background vocals through that output by holding Shift Option 2 background vocal blend. Now, when you play it, I want to show you this because it might freak you out the first time you do it. And you see them playing, but you don't hear them. Do you guys know what's going on when that happens? It's actually called input monitoring or auto input monitoring. So when you look up here and you can see the option in here and it says right now you're on input only. No, I'm sorry, right now you're in auto input monitoring. So it shows you to choose option K to change to input monitoring. Input monitoring. We want to hear the input even if it's playing, even if we're not recording right now. Okay? So if you press option K, we should hear it. This is another indication that auto input monitoring is on. See? So I know you guys can only hear mono on your side, but I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how I would pan this. I would give it some different images here. Pull these ones over a little bit. Pull these ones over the other way a little bit. Am I in the right number here? 1, 2. Oh no, I flipped it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, fully wide. Then again, pull these in a little more narrow. I want to leave the center alone because that's the space for kick, snare, bass, and vocal, right? So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is filling the space over here. I'm going to try to blend this with my, I'm going to turn the BGV group, all BGVs off. And what I want to make sure is that the lead part of it, which is this part, this is the actual melody, is louder. I want to make sure that this is louder than the rest of the harmonies, which is often a mistake producers do in making them all the same way. But people identify with songs better when they can identify the melody in the harmony. Now another thing I want to watch out for, that my blend is balanced here. So guys, can you guys hear how the lead is just slightly louder, but you can hear all the other notes? So the trick here now is that I blended this to the track like almost like when I'm mixing, right? So this is like a good level. So if I can retain all my other bounces I'm going to do to mix to that track level, at the end when I'm mixing, I won't have to adjust the volume of my background vocals anymore because I already blended them in, right? So if I go ahead and record this in, and I like to record in grid mode. Why? Because then next time I want to move it, it's in grid. It's easier to move it around. So I'm just going to go ahead and record that in. I think my headphones are left heavy for some reason. It's weird. Okay, that's done. So now I have this one to record, right? So there's an extra part here I need to bring up. So what I immediately hear is that that's much louder compared to the track now than the previous blend was. So I don't want to adjust my track, which is very important. I want to adjust the blend. So that way I don't have to deal with the background vocals later on in the mix as much. So I will start over. this is probably more even with the actual track. So again, I'm in grid mode. I record. Okay, now all I have to do is, because I was in grid mode, I can simply cut this in grid mode, select this region, copy it. Remember, if I look at this right now, I'm exactly on 10.1, which makes it much easier for me to move them around. Now, what if you didn't record in grid mode? Then you just have to make sure that you select relative grid when you move it, right? So I'm in grid mode, I go right on top of the bar, and it should perfectly line up. Take it out of record. Perfect. I'm just going to copy all the choruses. Perfect. So all the choruses are where they're supposed to be. And when I import this into my mix session, all I will have to import... What was that? That was an interesting one. All I have to import is my lead vocal, my other lead vocal, which is not even in this session, and my background vocal blend, right? So another thing, last step is to actually create a rough mix. So we don't need these background vocal tracks anymore, but since they're being routed through the background vocal blend, there's nothing we have to do. We don't even have to mute them. They're inaudible at this point. So typical vocal processing is actually showing in your session. I'm just going to give you some ideas of what typical settings for the compressor would be. Anywhere between 5 and 10 milliseconds is a good attack time. 2.2 to 3:1 ratio is a acceptable attack time. Your makeup gain should never be higher than 75% of your gain reduction. So if I'm hitting this compressor, which you should never hit more than 3 or 4 dB of gain reduction on a vocal because it sounds too compressed. This is all part of the exercise. It's all on the PDF.
We were together, now I'm alone again. Look through the window.
So I'm hitting around 3 dB of gain reduction. You can see this, right? So this is a pretty good setting.
We were together.
You don't want to hit it like this.
We were together.
Now you're getting 6 dB of gain reduction. So we want to just back up a little bit. If you guys look at the PDF, all these settings are on there, so it's simple. You don't have to remember this. Now I said 75% of makeup gain, so if I'm losing 3 dB, I want to add 2. Okay, not more, even less rather. Then typical EQ settings are you always want to have a high pass filter on everything but kick and snare. Period. Everything. I'm sorry, kick and bass. Everything else should have a high pass filter at anywhere between 50 and 75 hertz, right? Kick and bass shouldn't. Now you can sometimes use a high pass filter on a bass at 20 hertz because there's nothing down there you could possibly need. But a typical setting, it's also on the PDF, and I'm not going to go too deeply into it, would be something like this. So I want to see you guys just apply just a really typical basic standard high pass filter, a little bit of sheen on top, take some of the telephone out, which is 1K, and then add a little bit more sheen. This vocal would probably need a little reduction to 280 and a little bit around 180, like I showed you guys earlier, the proximity effect. And make it with a little bottom, and then very light de-essing. I would say a lot of de-essing on this vocal if it would be a better de-esser, but this Pro Tools de-esser is just horrible. It will make somebody sound like they have a lisp. Same thing to your background vocal blend. Give it a nice blend. Then you want to create your rough mix so it hits right around between -6 and -3. Now here's a little trick, guys. I get that one every month too. I get that thing. I don't have any numbers on my mix window. If you're in narrow mix window, you don't see numbers. If you open it up, you have your numbers. Okay. So we want to get right into this -6 to -3 window. This is a good vocal level. Let's check our background vocal level. That's good. but I don't want to see clipping, so we might be a little hot, so we might want to back up just a little bit. So. And then the last thing I want to see that you guys know how to set up a standard, basic, time-based setup, which means you create a stereo aux, you create a reverb, you set up the input to it, you properly name it, and then properly route it from your send. Make sure it's not in pre-fader mode.
Sweeter than good time. We are. Remember where we've been. We were together. Now I'm alone again.
Now, if you wanted to finish this up with a little bit of Maxim, I don't have a problem with that, as long as you're not clipping into Maxim, and that your ceiling is under 0.3, minus 0.3, and that your attenuation does not exceed 1 or 2 dB. If it starts sounding like this, it's a limiter actually, and limiters always bring your levels up. It's really one of the worst limiters I've ever heard. So you got to be very, very, very careful to use it very lightly, and you never want to have more than 1 to 1.5 dB of gain reduction on this one, because it will immediately sound super saturated, right? So a little bit of it goes a long way. See how the level is coming up? And that's pretty much all you want. You want to get close to 0, and with this being a limiter with your ceiling set at 0.4, you will never go over 0.4. Okay. Now I usually set my release to about 50 milliseconds. And that will give you a really good level when you send people your rough mix, right? Because that's a lot of times you give people rough mix, they go, this is so low, I can't hear it. This is a very good way to get it loud, but as soon as you start seeing attenuation, back up, because it's immediately going to sound like, you ever heard that term sausage, audio sausage, where it takes all your peaks and dynamic range that you see in audio and it just makes it look like a sausage? So right, so you don't want that. The sausage is no good. Okay, so you want to have a little bit dynamic range, because you don't have the tools a mastering engineer has. So you got to deal with it, making it loud as you can without clipping. No, you don't want a sausage. That's not good.